When it comes to financial freedom and early retirement, what's your first reaction? Do you think it's just a game only a handful of wealthy people and investment geniuses can play? Something far beyond the reach of ordinary folks like us? The idea we've been instilled with since childhood is study hard, find a good job, work diligently for 40 years, then live out your golden years on a pension. But has anyone ever asked, is this really the only path we want? The classic book we're going to dive into today, Your Money or Your Life, completely upends this traditional script. Its two authors, Vicky Robin and Joe Dominguez, achieved financial independence in their early 30s, despite having only modest incomes. Through their own experience, they proved that financial freedom has no inherent connection to how much you earn. Instead, it's closely tied to how you view money and how you manage your life. This book offers a 9-step program that has stood the test of decades, like a clear map guiding us out of the rat race of working just for money. Next, we'll break down every detail of this map together. Whether you currently earn 3,000 yuan a month or 1,000,000 yuan a year, this sharing will provide you with a brand new set of thinking tools, helping you see the truth about money and start planning your own unique path to financial independence. Earlier, we touched on a topic. How far really is financial freedom from ordinary people like us? The answer from this remarkable book, Your Money or Your Life, is it's much closer than you think. But where does this path begin? Don't rush. It's not in the A-share market, not in real estate, and not in your boss's office. The starting point of this path lies in each of our minds. It requires us to first completely overthrow a belief we've deeply held since childhood. That belief is we work to make money. It sounds reasonable, right? Like an unshakable truth. But the book hits us with a wake-up call right from the start. No, that's not correct. There's only one true reality about money in this world, and that is, money equals your life energy. The term life energy may sound a bit abstract, but in plain language, it refers to the time, energy, and mental effort we invest in living, the sum total of all our life activities. The banknotes we earn from work every day are not money in essence. They are vouchers we exchange for a segment of our life that can never be retrieved. Therefore, your way of viewing money must change completely. When you buy a cup of milk tea for 30 yuan, you're not spending 30 yuan, you're spending roughly 1 hour of your life. When you buy a 10,000 yuan phone, you're not spending 10,000 yuan, you're spending more than half a month or even longer of your life. Does this thought make you feel a little chilled? But wait, there's something even more eye-opening. The book points out that most of us don't even calculate our life selling price correctly. We all assume our hourly wage is the number written in our contract, but in reality, our true life energy conversion rate is much lower than we think, so low that it might make you question everything. Let's do a harsh but realistic calculation to test this. Suppose a typical office worker earns 10,000 yuan a month, with an 8-hour workday as stated in the contract. Their nominal hourly wage would be roughly 57 yuan, which sounds decent. But if we follow the book's method and add in all the hidden costs of working, things look very different. First, there's the extra time. Daily commute, time spent getting ready for work, and time needed to recover from exhaustion after work. None of this is time spent enjoying life. It's time purely spent in service of work. Over a month, this extra time can easily add up to dozens of hours. Then, there are the extra expenses. Costs incurred because of work, like transportation fees, mandatory takeout meals, spending to maintain a professional image, and even stress relief shopping on weekends to cope with work pressure. All this money is paid for with the life energy you earned from work. Now add all this extra time, plus the extra money spent, roughly converted into your working hours, to your original working hours. Then divide your monthly salary by this much larger total actual working hours, and see how much your true hourly wage really is. We don't need an exact number, but we can be certain. The result will be far lower than your nominal hourly wage, even cut in half. You might think you're exchanging 1 hour of life for 57 yuan, but in reality, your life might only be sold for 30 or 40 yuan, or even less. And this is just a very conservative estimate. Many people bear far more hidden costs for their jobs, like unpaid overtime, the anxiety of being on call 24/7, and health issues caused by stress. If we include all these, the number becomes even more shocking. This is the first and most core cognitive shock the book brings us. We must learn to measure everything using life energy. Only when you start thinking about, is this item worth buying? By asking, how many hours of my life do I need to spend on it? Have you truly taken the first step toward financial independence? Because from that moment on, you are no longer a passive consumer or a numb money-making machine. You become someone who deeply values and takes responsibility for their life energy. You start to ask, is the pleasure I get from spending 3 hours of my life on a fancy meal really worth it? How long will the satisfaction from spending 150 hours of my life on a luxury bag last? Am I getting enough growth, a sense of accomplishment, and salary from this job to justify the hours of my irreplaceable life I put into it every month? You see, once you start thinking in terms of life energy instead of money, your way of seeing the world changes entirely. You're no longer working for a string of numbers. You're taking responsibility for your precious life. So, what's the first step to taking this responsibility? It's not charging forward blindly. It's looking back first. The book tells us, before planning for the future, you must honestly face your financial past and figure out where you stand now relative to your starting point. Only by understanding your past can you plan your future. Next, let's embark on a personal financial archaeology to reconcile with your past. Welcome to the Financial Archaeology site. The word archaeology might sound like a huge undertaking, even a bit daunting. In fact, many people have an instinctive urge to avoid their past, especially their financial past. They'd rather scroll through short videos, watching others' lives rise and fall, than take the time to quietly look back at their own journey and the income and expenses scattered throughout the years. Why is that? Because of fear. Fear of realizing they've earned so much money but have nothing left to show for it. Fear of facing their debts, which loom like an endless mountain. Fear of confronting the version of themselves that once made countless bad spending decisions. However, your money or your life points out that this process is precisely the most important and therapeutic step in the entire journey to financial independence. It's not about creating regret. It's about allowing everyone to make peace with their imperfect past selves. Only when you fully reconcile with your past can you let go of all burdens, travel light, and create a completely different future. This archaeology has 2 steps. The first step is extremely eye-opening. Calculate the total amount of money you have earned in your life so far. Yes, you heard that right, from your first part-time job and your first New Year's red envelope, lucky money, all the way to today. Add up every sum of money that has come into your life. All salaries, bonuses, money from selling used items, red envelopes from others, everything that has flowed into your bank account. Then see what that total number is. This might sound like an impossible task. You might think, I lost the pay stubs from the company I worked for 10 years ago, and who remembers how much I earned tutoring in college? Don't worry, the book's authors fully understand this. They say, the key to this step is not 100% accuracy, but being as honest as possible. You can check your bank transaction records, look at your annual Alipay and WeChat payment summaries, find old labor contracts, or even roughly estimate based on your career experience. For example, I've been working for 10 years. For the first 3 years, my average monthly salary was 5,000 yuan. For the next 4 years, it was 10,000 yuan. And for the past 3 years, it's been 15,000 yuan. With that, you can calculate a rough range. The important thing is to take this process seriously, to recall, to search, and to turn those vague memories into a specific weighty number. When you finally write that number down on paper, whether it's 500,000 yuan, 1 million yuan, or 5 million yuan, you'll likely be shocked by it. You'll stare at it, and a huge question will well up in your mind. Where did all this money go? Please remember this moment and this feeling. This number is the total sum of all the life energy you've invested in the first half of your life. It's not meant to make you blame yourself. It's meant to let you see, for the first time so clearly, that your life has already created such enormous value. You have the ability to make money, and you've already earned so much that in itself is something worth affirming. This number is the first cornerstone of your reconciliation. Okay, take a deep breath. Let's move on to the second step of the archaeology. creating your personal, financial snapshot. The term may sound professional, but it's as simple as taking an X-ray of your wallet. All you need is a piece of paper. Divide it into 2 columns. Write down your assets on the left and your liabilities on the right. What is an asset? Simply put, it's everything you currently own that can be converted into money. Remember, calculated at its current market price, not the amount you paid for it when you bought it. For example, the cash in your wallet, the balance in your bank account, and the funds in your Alipay or WeChat Pay are the most straightforward ones. Stocks and funds you own should be calculated based on their current market value. If you have a house or a car, look up their approximate current worth. Even collected sneakers or famous paintings can be considered assets as long as they can be sold for money. List these items one by one on the left side, then add them up to get your total assets. What about a liability? It's even simpler. It's all the money you owe to others. This includes the unpaid amount on your credit card bill, the remaining balance on Huabei, Ant Credit Pay, or Jebe, Ant Cash Now, the outstanding principal of your mortgage, the remaining car loan, and any money you've borrowed from relatives or friends. List these items one by one on the right side, then add them up to get your total liabilities. All right, it's time to witness the magic. Subtract your total liabilities on the right from your total assets on the left. The resulting number is your current net worth, what we usually refer to as your personal wealth. This number could be positive or negative. It might surprise you or make you feel discouraged. But no matter what, remember this. It's just a number. It doesn't represent your value, nor does it judge your past. It simply tells you honestly where your financial situation stands at this very moment, today. With that, our financial archaeology is complete. You now have 2 extremely important numbers: the total money you've earned in your life and the money you currently have. By looking at these 2 numbers together, you'll gain an unprecedented macro understanding of your own money story. You might realize you're like a huge wealth pipeline. A large amount of money flows into your life, but only a small portion remains in the end. Or you might find that even though you haven't earned a lot, you've built a solid foundation for yourself through careful budgeting. Whatever you discover, accept it. That's the true meaning of reconciliation. The past cannot be changed, and regret is useless. What matters is that from today onward, you're no longer a sleepwalker who knows nothing about your own financial situation. You now hold the starting point of a map and a clear GPS location. You know how much you've earned and how much you have left. You no longer feel lost or afraid of the future because you've taken the hardest yet most crucial step, honestly facing yourself. So, now that we know our starting point, the next step is naturally to see the path we're currently on. How exactly is our life energy flowing right now every single day? Where is it all going? In the previous section, we embarked on a financial archaeology journey and bravely looked back to clarify the starting point of our financial journey. With the starting point in hand, we now need an accurate real-time navigation system to tell us, where is our ship heading? This navigation system is the second milestone tool the book teaches us, and it's a habit that many find the hardest to adopt, yet brings endless benefits once mastered: tracking your life energy. At the mention of tracking expenses, many people may already feel their scalps tingle, immediately envisioning complicated spreadsheets and guilt-inducing budgeting apps, thinking life will turn into a tedious, penny-pinching ordeal. Please cast aside all these thoughts, because the tracking in your money or your life is fundamentally different from the expense tracking we traditionally understand. Traditional expense tracking aims for control and cutting costs, with an underlying logic of scarcity, whereas the tracking in this book has only one purpose: awareness. It doesn't force you to tighten your belt and live frugally. Instead, it urges you to open your eyes and see your life clearly, because your life deserves to be taken seriously. So, what exactly do you need to do? The method is simple. Record every single cent that flows into or out of your life without missing a penny. Yes, every single cent. From a steamed bun to a bus ride, to a casual red envelope you send. No matter the amount or the payment method, it needs to be recorded. This may sound extreme, but the reasoning behind it is profound. Imprecise recording is self-deception. We often have an illusion about our spending, always thinking, "I just spent a little pocket change." But the devil is in the details. Countless small sums of money are like drops of water slowly dripping from a faucet. Over a month or a year, they can add up to a shocking ocean. Only when you start recording without omissions do you cut off all avenues of self-delusion, acting like a scientist collecting the most raw and authentic data about your own life. You can use any tool to record, whether a small notebook or an expense tracking app. The tool itself doesn't matter. What matters is unwavering consistency, turning this practice into a habit as natural as eating or sleeping. Of course, recording is only the first step. What truly makes this method magical and interesting is the second step, creating your own personalized categories. Forget the cold, default categories in those expense tracking apps. Terms like dining, transportation, and shopping are too vague to reflect the real motives and emotions behind your spending. This book encourages us to create a category system that resonates with you, answering one question. To which things that I truly care about is my life energy flowing? For example, expenses on food can be divided into work meals for quick energy replenishment, warm dinners with family, important meals to maintain friendships, and indulgent stress relief meals to reward myself. You see, with this kind of division, each expense is no longer just a simple number. It is connected to your life situation and emotional needs. Another example, shopping can be split into life essentials that boost happiness, impulse purchases to satisfy vanity, and necessary spending for social etiquette. Even transportation can be divided into energy-draining commutes to work and free-spirited weekend trips. This is the wisdom of categorization. It turns boring expense tracking into an interesting game of dialogue with yourself. The more unique and down-to-earth your categories are, the more they reflect the true face of your life. If you keep up this recording and categorization, after a month, when you summarize the data, a unique, one-of-a-kind life energy flowchart that belongs solely to you will be born. You'll be able to see it intuitively. How many hours of your life do you spend each month on energy-draining commutes to work? What price do you pay in life energy for impulse purchases? When you see this chart for the first time, you may be surprised, fall silent, or even feel a twinge of unease, realizing that your life energy often flows to places you don't actually care about. But again, remember this principle: no judgment, no self-blame. What you're seeing is just objective fact. You're not judging your past. You're using this data to understand the truest version of yourself. With this life energy flow chart, you hold the key to change and gain the right to ask deep, soul-searching questions of yourself. This data will serve as the foundation for our next step, the most core and exciting turning point in the entire book. There, we will learn how to use 3 magic questions to examine every number on this chart, and ultimately find that enough point that brings us the greatest happiness and satisfaction. In the previous section, we finally created our own life energy flow chart, and that's no small achievement. But what comes next is truly exciting. We didn't collect this data just to frame the chart, sigh and say, "So that's how much I spent last month," then go back to living our old lives. No, this chart is a mirror. Now, what we need to do is summon the courage to look straight into it, then ask the reflection of ourselves 3 soul-stirring questions. These 3 questions are the most critical step from awareness to change. They will completely transform your spending decisions and help you find that mysterious coordinate that brings the greatest happiness. That is, enough. Get ready. After summarizing your monthly expenses, you need to look at each spending category and sincerely ask yourself the first question. Did the life energy I spent bring me a matching amount of joy and satisfaction? This is a question about life value for money, where the measuring standard is no longer RMB but your life. For example, your chart shows that last month, you spent 1,000 yuan on indulgent stress relief meals to reward yourself, which might be equivalent to 30 full hours of your life energy. Now, carefully recall the experience of those meals. Was the enjoyment from that expensive steak really worth exchanging for nearly 4 days of work? Would those 30 hours of life have brought more lasting satisfaction if spent with family or reading a good book? Take another look at the category impulse purchases to satisfy momentary vanity. That pair of shoes you snapped up on sale but never wore cost you 5 hours of life energy. That latest electronic gadget that excited you for a week before ending up gathering dust in a drawer consumed over 100 hours of your life. When you convert their prices into irretrievable moments of your life, do you still think they were a good deal? This question is like a sharp scalpel. It will help you precisely cut away ineffective spending. You'll realize that many things we think will bring happiness are just illusions created by consumerism. What we truly need is probably far less than we imagine. And the things that truly nourish our lives, like a deep conversation or a lazy afternoon with nothing to do, often don't require spending much life energy at all. Okay, now that we've asked the first question, let's move on to the second, more profound one. Are these expenditures of life energy aligned with my life goals and values? This question no longer asks, are you happy? But rather, is this right? It elevates you from a consumer to the level of a life planner. Before asking this question, you may even need to first ask yourself, what exactly are my life goals? What matters most to me, health, family, personal growth, or creation and contribution? Suppose your life goal is to have a healthy body, but your chart shows that you spend 20 hours of life energy each month on late-night barbecues and milk tea, while investing almost nothing in exercise and healthy eating. Then clearly, your life energy is flowing in a direction that runs counter to your goal. If your truest value is emotional connection with family, but your bills reveal that the life energy you spend on dining out to maintain workplace relationships is 5 times more than what you spend on spending time with parents and children, isn't your life being a bit inconsistent with your words? Life goals are not out of reach. They are reflected in your daily spending choices. Your bill is the true script of your life. Next comes the third and most transformative question, the ultimate litmus test to check if an expenditure is genuine. If I didn't have to work to make a living, how would this expenditure change? This question is brilliantly designed to help us distinguish between true desires and therapeutic consumption driven by the need to compensate for work-related suffering. Think about it. If you lived every day with passion and enthusiasm, would you still need an expensive cup of coffee to revive yourself every Black Monday? If your life was full of meaning, would you still need to squeeze in precious annual leave each year for a retaliatory trip to escape your current life? Through this question, you will strip away a large amount of compensatory consumption from your life. Such consumption is like bailing water out of a leaky boat. It keeps you afloat temporarily, but never solves the root problem. Financial independence, however, gives you the opportunity to plug that hole once and for all. When these 3 questions act like a sieve, filtering through all your spending categories, a miracle will happen. A clear answer will emerge in your heart, which expenses should be reduced, maintained, or even increased. Thus, the outline of enough gradually becomes clear. In the book, the authors use a happiness curve to describe this state. Imagine the x-axis represents your monthly expenses, and the y-axis represents your happiness. At first, as expenses increase, happiness rises rapidly. But once expenses reach a certain point, the curve begins to flatten and may even turn downward. The peak of this curve is your personal enough point. Beyond this point, more consumption will no longer bring you more happiness. Instead, it will bring a cluttered house, endless bills, and heavier mental burdens. Finding this enough point is the essence of financial independence. It is not a fixed number, but a dynamic, fully personalized state that you need to constantly explore and adjust. At this stage, we are no longer just passive bookkeepers. By asking soul-searching questions of ourselves, we become active life designers, holding a one-of-a-kind blueprint for our ideal life. The next step, then, is to figure out how to turn this ideal blueprint into reality step by step. How to use wisdom to gradually align our actual expenses with that enough point without compromising our quality of life. This is what we will explore in the next section, the art of saving money for happiness. In the previous section, by asking deep questions of our inner selves, we finally found our personal enough point, the point where our happiness is maximized. It can be said that we now hold a unique design blueprint for the ideal life. Looking at this blueprint and comparing it to our actual life energy flow chart from last month, Many of us may find a significant gap between the two. The ideal is full, but the reality of our bills is harsh. So, how can we gradually adjust our actual expenses to match the ideal state? The answer seems simple: save money. But at the mention of saving money or frugality, many people may conjure up unpleasant images. Walking sweating in the sweltering summer to save a few yuan on bus fare, eating instant noodles every meal to cut costs, leading to malnutrition, or avoiding friend gatherings and giving up desired purchases, resulting in a sharp decline in quality of life and becoming a petty, joyless person. If this is your understanding of frugality, then allow this book to redefine the term for you. The frugality advocated in your money or your life is completely different from the stinginess or reduced consumption we often talk about. It is an advanced, wise lifestyle whose core is not giving up, but fully enjoying. Its goal is not making you live more cheaply, but making you live more precious ly. In simple terms, it means consciously reducing your life energy consumption without sacrificing or even enhancing your happiness. This may sound incredible, but the book does provide a series of wise strategies. Let's discuss the most core ones. The first and most immediately effective strategy is to stop comparing yourself to others. We have an old saying, comparing yourself to others only brings frustration. In today's social media era, this battlefield of comparison has shifted from the neighbor's house to your WeChat moments and various short video apps. A friend shows off a new luxury bag today. A colleague drives a new car tomorrow. A social media influencer checks in at an expensive restaurant you've never heard of the day after. This information constantly creates pressure to keep up with others. The feeling that, if everyone else has it, I must have it too. So you swipe your credit card or take out installment loans to buy things you don't truly need, or even truly like, just to make yourself look like you're not falling behind or doing well. Such consumption, driven by comparison, is the biggest black hole for life energy. It consumes a huge amount of your life, yet only brings momentary vanity and deeper emptiness. Therefore, the first step to achieving wise frugality is to bravely step out of this theater of comparison. Block the sources of information that make you anxious and refocus on your true needs and feelings. The second strategy sounds simple, but it is incredibly powerful. It's called using things to their fullest potential. First, use it up. Think about your refrigerator and storage cabinets. Are they filled with half-eaten sauces and skincare products you started using but then forgot about? Before you impulsively buy something new, launch a household inventory challenge and force yourself to use up all the items you already have. You'll be surprised to find that this alone can save you from needing to buy certain things for months. Second, wear it out. Use it until it breaks. In the era of fast fashion, we buy clothes more frequently, but the lifespan of each piece gets shorter. Wise consumers choose to buy fewer items of good quality and classic style, then take good care of them, using them until the end of their life cycle. This not only saves money, but also shows respect for the items themselves and the resources behind them. Third, find a way to fix it or do without it altogether. When something breaks, our first reaction is often to throw it away and buy a new one. But next time, try fixing it yourself first. If a table leg is loose, maybe all it needs is a few tightened screws. This habit of doing it yourself not only saves money on replacements, but also brings you a great sense of accomplishment and control. This leads us to the third core strategy: consciously improving your life skills. The division of labor in society is becoming increasingly refined, and we seem to have grown accustomed to paying for all services. Order takeout if you can't cook, call a plumber if the sink is clogged, hire a repairman if furniture breaks. But these paid services we take for granted are constantly consuming our life energy. The book encourages us to view the process of saving money as a process of learning and growth. Instead of ordering takeout this weekend, follow an online recipe to cook a dish you've been craving. If a small appliance at home breaks, don't rush to buy a new one. Search for repair tutorials on video platforms first. Every new skill you master not only saves you money, but also makes you stronger and more independent. Each time you reduce your reliance on the external commercial system, you increase your freedom in life. Of course, beyond small daily expenses, the biggest drains on life energy often come from major purchases, such as houses and cars. The book also encourages us to re-examine their true costs. Do you really need a car? Especially in big cities with developed public transportation. When you add up the cost of buying the car, annual insurance, fuel, maintenance, parking fees, and the time wasted in traffic jams, do you still think driving is the better choice? Do you really need such a big house? Larger spaces mean more time spent cleaning, higher maintenance costs, and heavier mortgage pressure. There are no one-size-fits-all answers to these questions, but when you start to value your life energy, you will examine these major decisions from a new, rational perspective. You see, none of these strategies force you to suffer. They all guide you to live a more mindful, autonomous, and creative life. You are no longer a passive consumer, swept along by the tide of consumerism. You become an active, smart life creator who knows exactly what you want. Every time you consciously choose to not consume, you are not losing, you are gaining tangible life energy. Through this combination of wise strategies, we lay half the solid foundation for our financial independence building, consciously reducing expenses. So what about the other half of the foundation? Naturally, it's increasing the inflow of our life energy. Next, let's talk about a topic we can't live without every day, yet rarely think about deeply: work. In the previous section, we learned a wise life art: how to cleverly reduce the outflow of life energy without sacrificing happiness. This is like finding all the leaky spots in the reservoir, leading to financial independence and plugging them one by one. Now that the reservoir no longer leaks, the next step is naturally to find a way to turn the inflow pipe to maximum. This is the other cornerstone of the entire plan we'll discuss in this section: how to increase the inflow of life energy. And to talk about this topic, we must face that behemoth that takes up 1/3 or more of our lives, making us feel both love and hate: work. When you hear the word work, what comes to mind? Crowded subways? Endless work group messages? Aching back and shoulders from sitting at a computer all day? Or the self-deprecating joke: if I work fast enough, my boss's troubles won't catch up to me? For most people, work has become tightly tied to making a living, turning into a transaction we have to participate in to exchange for survival resources. We trade our time, health, and even dignity for that life-sustaining salary. But your money or your life once again puts forward a transformative view here. We must redefine work. It divides work into two types. The first is income-generating work, the 9-to-5 job we currently have, whose core purpose is to make money. The second is a broader definition of work, which includes all valuable labor in life. Devoting time to accompany a child's growth is work, carefully taking care of a sick family member is work, and creative activities like engaging in public welfare, learning a new musical instrument, or painting a picture are equally great work. The purpose of this book has never been to turn you into an idle person who does nothing. Its ultimate goal is to help you break free from the forced reliance on income-generating work, giving you the confidence and freedom to do that broader work that may not pay, but you are truly passionate about doing. Think about it. If money were no longer an issue, what work would you most want to do? The answer to this question is your deepest true desire, and it is also the ultimate gift that financial independence will bring you. So before reaching that end goal, i.e., during the current income-generating phase, our core task becomes very clear: complete the working for money transaction with the highest possible efficiency, accumulate enough capital as soon as possible, and redeem our future freedom. How to improve efficiency. The book outlines 3 very practical directions. The first direction is to maximize the value of your current job and respect the life energy you are investing. Many people hate their jobs, so they adopt a passive, muddle-along attitude at work. This may seem like taking advantage of the company, but in reality, it's a waste of your own life, since you've already sold the most precious 8 hours of your daily life energy to the company. Why not fight for the maximum benefit for yourself in this transaction? The benefits here are not just salary, but also skill development, networking resources, and employee benefits like company medical checkups and corporate annuities. Treat income-generating work as a strategic partner in achieving financial independence. You invest life energy, and in return, it should not only give you money, but more importantly, intangible assets that will make you more valuable in the future. When you approach work with a partner mindset, you are no longer a passive employee, but an active value exchanger. The second direction is more straightforward. Find ways to sell your life energy at a higher price. The book's view is very frank. Since you are selling your life, why not sell it for a good price? This requires us to have a clear understanding of our own value. You can search on job recruitment websites to see the approximate market price for your resume and abilities. If you find that your current salary is far below the market average, you should bravely fight for more. Either have a well-reasoned salary negotiation with your boss, or update your resume and look for buyers who appreciate your value more, i.e., job hopping, as we usually call it. Many people stay in positions where their value is undervalued for years because they fear uncertainty. Essentially, this is a lack of respect for their own life energy. The third direction is to add a second engine to your income, starting a side hustle or personal business. Starting a side hustle is not just for extra income. Its more important significance is that it provides you with a testing ground. You can explore things you are truly passionate about, verify business ideas, and accumulate experience in working for yourself. This side hustle could be freelance work using your professional skills, selling small hobbies online, or sharing your knowledge and insights in a certain field through writing or video creation. The most crucial point is, don't treat the money earned from your side hustle as pocket money to be spent casually. Instead, see it as an accelerator for buying freedom and prioritize investing it in your investment account. Through efforts in these three directions, enhancing value in your main job, seeking a higher price for your labor, and developing a second income engine, the inflow of your life energy will become stronger and stronger. By this point, both foundations of the financial independence building are in place. In your left hand, you've learned to cleverly plug the outflow of life energy. In your right hand, you've mastered methods to maximize the inflow. Between this outflow and inflow, a healthy, growing surplus, i.e. monthly savings, emerges. This surplus is your ticket to freedom. Every month, we accumulate more of these tickets for ourselves. So how do we make these tickets automatically combine and upgrade, eventually becoming a wealth ship that can withstand storms, sail autonomously, and carry us to the shore of freedom? This is the secret we'll unlock in the next section, and it's the most exciting step in the entire plan. Crossing the financial tipping point. In the previous sections, we've accomplished two major things. On one hand, we've plugged the leaks in our life energy and learned to spend money wisely. On the other hand, we've increased the flow of life energy, allowing our income to grow steadily by optimizing our work. Between this outflow and inflow, something wonderful is born: monthly savings. But this savings is not pocket money to be squandered at the end of the month. It has a new name: the Freedom Fund. This is the capital we accumulate for ourselves, for our future freedom. So how should we handle this growing freedom fund? Should we leave it in the bank to depreciate slowly? Of course not. We need to turn this money into diligent employees who work 24/7, 365 days a year, and make them work for us. This is the financial tipping point we'll cross in this section, and it's the shining ultimate goal of the entire plan. To clearly illustrate this process, the book provides a powerful visualization tool. It suggests finding a large piece of paper, pasting it in the most prominent place at home, and drawing a chart. This chart is simple. The x-axis represents time, in months, and the y-axis represents money, in yuan. Starting this month, you need to mark 2 points on the chart every month. The first point is your total monthly expenses. Because you've implemented the previous strategies, this life consumption line, connected by the expense points, will slowly decline or stabilize at the level of your enough point. The second point is the soul of this chart, your monthly passive income. What is passive income? It's the money earned for you by the Freedom Fund you invested in previous months. When you put your Freedom Fund into income-generating assets, the monthly returns you receive are passive income. In the first few months, even the first year or two, this passive income point will be very low, so low that it's almost invisible. If you work hard to save 10,000 yuan and invest it, you might only get a few dozen yuan in returns in the first month. Many people give up at this stage, thinking, when will I ever achieve financial freedom with this little money? But please be sure to persist, because this wealth growth line follows one of the most powerful forces in the world, the power of compound interest. Its growth is not a straight line, but an exponential curve that becomes steeper and steeper. Your task is to continue investing your monthly surplus, expand the team of money employees, and faithfully mark the 2 points and connect the 2 lines on the chart. Next, it's time to witness the miracle. You will see the life consumption line, representing expenses, steadily moves downward, while the wealth growth line, representing passive income, climbs upward slowly but steadily. They are like 2 lines of fate moving toward each other in time and space, and they will eventually meet at a certain point. That moment is what the book defines as the financial independence tipping point, and it's the moment your life script is completely rewritten. From this month onward, even if you don't work, the money earned by your money employees will be enough to cover your living expenses. From this moment on, your life energy truly belongs to you. You will never again need to sell a single second of it for survival. For you, work will change from a required question to an optional extra. You can choose to work for others or only work for your passions and dreams. This is the true meaning of financial independence, when passive income stably and consistently exceeds core living expenses. So the next key question: where should we invest our freedom fund to make it work for us safely and steadily? When it comes to investing, there are countless theories on the market, filled with complex jargon and get-rich-quick myths. But the investment foundation provided by your money or your life is so simple that it's almost boring, and for that reason, it's extremely reliable. Remember, our only goal in investing is not to pursue short-term huge profits, but to build a long-term, stable, and sustainable source of passive income. Therefore, your investment portfolio should not be like a speed-chasing Formula One car, which could crash at any time, but rather like a steady milk-producing cow. The book recommends the most stable and time-tested asset classes, which today's ordinary people can understand as the following categories. Broad market index funds. By investing in these funds, you essentially buy shares in hundreds of the most dynamic companies in a country at once, becoming a micro-shareholder of numerous outstanding enterprises. This strategy bets on the long-term growth of a nation's economy, offering extremely diversified risk and requiring minimal effort to manage. High-dividend blue-chip stocks. These refer to stocks of large, long-established companies with stable operations that pay out consistent dividends every year. The returns here come not only from stock price appreciation, but also from dividends, similar to receiving rental income. Bonds or other fixed income products. Investing in bonds is like lending money to a country or a high-credit institution with regular interest payments in return. While the returns may not be high, they excel in safety and stability. The core philosophy of the book is build a simple investment portfolio that lets you sleep soundly at night. Once you set up a disciplined approach, such as monthly fixed-amount investments, you barely need to manage it afterward. Your job is to live a good life, not to become a trader glued to the screen all day. Let time and the magic of compound interest work quietly. As the 2 fate lines on the wall chart draw closer, a wonderful shift will happen in your mindset. Monday mornings will no longer feel dreadful, and your boss's criticism will no longer weigh on your heart. A clear voice will emerge in your mind. I don't have to rely on this job to survive. The closer I get to that crossing point, the greater my freedom becomes. And when you finally cross that tipping point, a brand new world will unfold before you. All right, our in-depth interpretation of your money or your life is drawing to a close. Let's return to our original question, your money or your life? And I believe everyone now has a clearer answer in their heart. This has never been an either-or choice. Money is not the enemy of life, nor should it be the ultimate pursuit. The most profound insight of this book is helping us see the essence of money. It is exchanged for your life energy. The series of steps provided in the book are not just financial management skills. They are more like a profound inner practice, aimed at rousing us from the unconscious state of being pushed around by money. The true meaning of financial independence is not having endless wealth to squander, but having the right to choose in life. When you no longer need to sell your time for survival, you truly gain the freedom to live. It is my hope that this sharing will become your fulcrum for driving change, starting with recording your first expense, calculating your true hourly wage in terms of life energy, and asking yourself, is this really worth exchanging my life for? Before your next purchase. Please remember, getting your finances in order means getting your life in order. What we ultimately pursue is not the fantasy of chasing life without caring about money, but rather having the security of money, and more importantly, a rich and fulfilling life. Thank you for reading, and we'll meet again in our next book discussion.